Well, we are back. It's Gigs and Ghosts Season 3. It's been a little while, but life got in the way a little bit. Me and Philly have just been talking about life getting in the way. But we are back now. It is Season 3. We're calling this Season 3 Ghost to Coast.
Yes.
Because a lot of the guests are from all over the world this time. So
amazing.
Very exciting. But yeah, so we are back once again. We're going to be talking about gigs. We're going to be talking about ghosts with lots of great guests. Tonight's guest is from the wonderful Gama Bomb, the Thrash Titans. We've got Philly in the house right now.
Hi, hello.
Hello, Philly. Hopefully
hello, hi, how's it going? Or should I say, ooh, hey.
Good day. So yeah, Philly, thank you for being our first guest of season number 3.
I am genuinely honoured. I'm a big fan of Gigs and Ghosts. I listen to it on the regs, as I do virtually. That may not be a compliment though, because I listen to virtually all supernatural podcasts.
Because they are the best.
Basically everyone that's ever made, I just listen to it. So maybe my bar isn't that high, but I've been really enjoying Gigs and Ghosts, so it's great to be on, and I hope I can conjure up some chilling tales for you.
But which other podcasts have you been listening to?
I listened to Unexplained, your man Richard McLean Smith's one. He talks a bit slow, so I speed him up a bit. I do him on 1.25 speed. I listened to Uncanny, which is the Danny Robbins one for the BBC.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really well produced, and like he has the panel and everything on it. It's a TV show now as well, which I'm recording.
I just saw my.
I'm recording it off telly. And I also tell you what I love. There's an amazing one called Monsters Among Us podcast. You ever heard of that one?
I've not.
It's awesome. Do you know what it is? It's this guy in America, and his name is Derek, and he talks like this. Thanks for calling in. And what he does is he has a free phone number in America, and Americans ring it and leave voice notes of their supernatural experiences, like UFOs, ghosts. And so each episode is him just being all like, here's John from the Great Plains of, Minnesota or whatever. And then you'll get a guy, hi, I was driving on the I-96 and I saw a triangle in the sky. Just thought I'd call in and let you know. Anyway, I'm a big fan of the show. Thanks so much, Derek. So yeah, I listen to that a lot. But it's amazing because you can scan through and you get a great cross-section of American wingnuts.
And there are many, many cross-sections of America. So, Philip, how we're going to do this today is we're going to start in the past of you.
Okay.
In your musical adventure.
Sure.
Then we're going to hit the present of Philly and Gama Bomb. Then we're going to go straight forward to the future
like
of Gama Bomb and you and music. And then after that, we'll get all the boring shit out of the way, and then we'll talk about ghosts, the good stuff.
Okay, let's do it.
That's good. So, Philly, here's a question. How did you get your start in music?
How did I get my start in music? I'll let you know when it happens. How did I get my start in music? I always loved music, and with my mom and dad, I'm the youngest of 7 kids. And Catholics. 1 for mommy, 1 for daddy, 7 for Ireland. So yeah, with my mom and dad, the house I grew up in, there were 7 kids, and I'm the youngest, so I was exposed to a lot of music growing up. My older brothers and sisters were listening to all the tunes of the 80s, and I had quite a grown-up exposure to music all the way through. And then when I was a teenager, I met Joe. When I was like 11, I met Joe, who's the bass player in the band, and we've kind of been besties ever since. And music was a big part of that relationship too. So like Joe started playing the guitar and stuff, I was hopeless. I had ideas that I was going to play the drums. I couldn't get a drum kit for the life of me. My dad turned up one night. He must have robbed it. He's a bit of an Arthur Daly, my dad. He showed up. He showed up, basically sped around the corner to the house, jumped out with the car basically still going, and put like an old hi-hat stand on a split welded cymbal down and went, I'll get you the rest later. Jumped back in the car and sped off, and then the rest never materialized. So I used to have this out in my mom's utility room, and I got some sticks, and I used to sit and play the hi-hat. So like it became apparent that drums probably wasn't going to be the big thing for me. So I got a bass, but the bass I got was like 15th hand and it was broken and it didn't work and stuff. So it was more about looking good, holding the bass. So yeah, that tells you the sort of level of genius there was there. And then when we were a bit older, when we were like going to college, Joe had already been in a few covers bands, and he was in a covers band with Luke Graham, this guy. And Joe and I had managed to play a handful of gigs as teenagers on St. Patrick's night when we were 16 in 1999. We played a gig, which was like, whoa, we played a gig and I played the bass and Joe played the guitar. And that was a real taste of like fun, you know, because a lot of people came down. Teenage gig, you know, place was rammed, function room of the St. John's Bosco Catholic Sports Club. And so we played in there and that was really cool. And then Joe kind of kept going and I didn't. And he was in this metal band and their singer kind of crapped out on them. And we were having a carry-out in Joe's garage. Joe's garage is like the size of a normal person's house, right? And
it's from money.
Well, they've made smart moves. Like, they bought a house right beside the massive police station in Newry, and then their house got blown up with the IRA. So, you know, their house was massive and old, but the IRA blew it up. So, you know. So yeah, like Joe was in this band. We got drunk one night in Joe's garage and there was this other lad there and he really sort of fancied himself. He was just a bit of at that time he was a bit of a dork. We were all teenagers. And he was singing Child in Time by Deep Purple along with this vinyl that was playing. And I just got a bit sick of him, you know, just got so sick of him doing it. And then I started doing it, right? And I was doing it over him, and I was way better at doing it than he was. Like I was, you know what I mean? I was really loud and fucking really clear, and I could do really high notes. And he was like, you know, he was kind of playing along trying to do it, but I was just like, I just started crushing him with it. Every time he tried to do it, I would go, I got his do it. So that was a whole laugh at the time. And then a couple of weeks later, Joe was like, we're gonna have all different people come up and do a gig because our singer crapped out on us for this band. Do you want to come down and what the Iron Maiden song was it? Something I couldn't possibly have sung it, and they couldn't possibly have played it. Like Aces High, we were like 18 as
Yeah.
No chance that we were going to be able to play that. But I went down to Joe's garage again to rehearse with them, and it wasn't just one song. They wanted me to sing the whole set, and it was like, you know, all songs in you, like Tornado of Souls and the Mechanics by Megadeth and all this kind of thing. Motorcycle.
Ooh, sorry, I don't know if you know, but fucking Megadeth, man.
Yeah.
I just never got it.
Well, I was a massive fan of Megadeth, and it's unfortunate to say, but like I think Dave Mustaine is, considering the massive rogues gallery of absolute evil bastards that there are in music, he's one of very few music artists who have ever put me off their work with their personality.
Yeah.
Like Elvis, fucking know anything about what Elvis did. Love Elvis. Love him. Yeah. Do you know what he did?
Just, you know, he was an absolute
love Bowie. Know what Bowie did? He did some shit. But then I'm still listening to Bowie and being like, what a fucking genius. That must all be a mistake. And then like Megadeth, he's just such a homophobe and a small-minded person. And it's like, I can't have anti-human people. I'd rather have a stupid git than an anti-human person. So I'm totally off Megadeth these days. Also, I think.
Well, you know, that makes me like you even more nowadays. You know, we had Ben on. He was talking about when Eval did some gigs with Megadeth.
Yeah, I listened to that one. Loved it.
Yeah, I just couldn't hide my distaste. I remember being at Sonosphere one year, and I blagged it. I was doing interviews with bands for a magazine called Feast, which between me and you and anyone listening, it didn't really exist.
I've done that.
I went to Hellfest and everything off the back of that.
Yeah, I've done that. I went to Ziget in Budapest for a magazine that didn't exist and spent a week there.
But yeah, because I was interviewing people and people seemed to like it, and then the press people kept on messaging me going, "Oh, do you want to do this interview? You want to do this interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, why not? Chris Jericho, fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
And then
you
like,
so we.
Sorry, that was good.
We were big fans, right? We were big fans of Megadeth at the time, and you know, I went down and I sang this set with them, and I had to turn my back to them because I was shaking so badly and I was so nervous and stuff. I had to face like a shelving unit so I could sing.
Yeah.
You know, obviously couldn't hear myself and all the rest of it. And then just very quickly, there was no conversation really had. There was just like, yeah, we did that, and now we're having a beer or whatever. And then I just went back home to my mum's house. And then just like the next week, it was like, do you want to come back down? And it was like, okay. So I just came back down again, and then we were just doing it again. So it kind of became a Saturday thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened. We were home from university, first year of uni, and it was Easter is when this happened. So we were there for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. So there was quite a few days of going down there and doing it. And then very quickly, Luke had like 2 songs. So after we'd done like 3 rehearsals, he was like, I have this. But we had no words for it. And I don't know, we were, by the standards of that time, I felt like we were working really hard. We were rehearsing loads. And no one was talking about it being a band. No one was jinxing it by saying the band had a name or anything like that. We were getting better at playing those tunes. Then we wrote joke lyrics. We wrote these joke lyrics for these other songs, and one of them was Hell Trucker, which we still play. And yeah, like pretty much like we were calling ourselves Rattlehead because that was like the Megadeth guy name, and that was the cover band. And we played a gig for our mate Kevy's 18th birthday, and I have video footage of it amazingly in another function room. Yet another function room of Newry. I could tour you the pub function rooms in Northern Ireland. I could do it in my sleep. We played that gig, and at that gig we were already referring to ourselves as Gama Bomb. And Joe, we'd said, "Oh, Gama Bomb for the Incredible Hulk," and Joe's garage was also his dad's business. His dad was like a school book wholesaler, so you know he would do the big shelving units and loads of books for schools. And it had desks in it, and the desks were covered in writing from all the different teenagers who had been in it, right? And Joe, so writing on the desk was nothing in the garage because they were just wrecked anyway. And Joe wrote Gama Bomb, but he wrote it wrong because he's dyslexic. And we were like, lol, he has a learning disability, lol. And then we were all standing around it. And we actually, the conversation almost happened like simultaneously. Everybody said, oh, but if the words are the same length, you can do Dawn of the Dead. And we were like, you can do Dawn of the Dead. And then I actually remember going, and He-Man and Star Wars. And everyone was like, yeah. And then Luke went home and drew it or whatever. And we were like, right, there you go. So that was it. And we just kept going. I've basically wasted my life since then.
Haven't we all, man? But in a fun way, which is cool.
Oh, man, totally. Jesus, I could have wasted it doing something that was no crack.
Exactly. Have you always been just, from the start of your love of music, have you always been metal? Then?
No, not remotely, no. Although I've always had a taste for like heavier music of one kind or another. Like ever since I was a wee kid, it was very like I saw Metallica on the TV and I was like, oh, that's kind of scary. And when I was like 11, I used to go into them as you would when you have older brothers. If they went out of the house, you would go in and dig through their stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was digging, but like it was always digging through their music really. And our Gavin has amazing taste, absolutely amazing taste in music. And I sort of got a lot of my music taste off him. So grew up listening to the Pogues, Buzzcocks, Sham 69, Sex Pistols. And then later it would have been stuff like Wedding Present, Fugazi, Teardrop Explodes. And then with my other brothers and sisters, you would have been hearing things like Sisters of Mercy, The Cult, Fields of the Nephilim, The Mission. My sister Jennifer was mad into U2, so I was listening to U2 from like Achtung Baby onwards. And then like once it got on into the 90s, I was like, it was all the full gamut. We were listening to Stone Roses and, Happy Mondays and New Order.
We played with them. We played with them last month.
You played with Happy Mondays?
Yeah, it's fucking
Jesus,
cool.
how's Sean doing? Fuck me, is he all right?
Well, I met Bez.
Well,
I was walking out of my dressing room and Bez was walking out of his and I nodded at him. He nodded at me, went, came up, put his hand out, went, all right, I'm better. So I went, all right, I'm Mikey. Then we both just laughed and gave each other a hug and walked off again. It was great.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Man. So yeah, like I had a really broad musical thing. It was, as I say, when I snuck into my brother's room and I found the double cassette of Live After Death. I knew who Iron Maiden was. I don't think you could grow up in the 1980s and not have seen Eddie. Like Eddie was on school bags, and everyone drew him on used to paint him on the canvas school bags.
100%.
Yeah, so I remember he was kind of scary, so you would remember him as a kid. So like when I saw the cover, I was like, yes, I've heard the name Iron Maiden. Yes, I know this is heavy metal. Yes, I've seen this monster before, and I think I even knew his name was Eddie. And then I put the tape on, and I think it was actually Phantom of the Opera, and I got into that track, did like the thing to that track, and I remember I burst out laughing because it was like, how is this a riff? Like it was so full of stuff. And it was so hyperactive. And then I read the lyrics, and that was kind of what clicked it for me. When I read the lyrics, I actually remember the thought really clearly. I thought to myself, it's not serious. And that actually made me really love it. I was like, they're having fun. This is fun. Like it's a spooky story. He's the Phantom of the Opera. He's going to get you. And I was like, this is actually great, It's like really hyperactive music. I'm quite a hyperactive person. And the lyrics were like fun, spooky stories, which is what I'd always been into spooky stuff. So for me, that was kind of my exposure to it. And Joe was getting into metal around the same time. And then that was kind of that. We would listen to Ugly Kid Joe together, listen to a lot of hard rock like Aerosmith and stuff when we were kids. And then when I was a teenager, I loved grunge. Like we were crazy about Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam. Like I used to lie in bed fantasizing about meeting those bands. And now I have actually met those bands. Yeah, so like for me, it's never just been a heavy metal thing. And to be honest, it still isn't really. Like I'm someone who kind of fell into heavy metal, and I've always been happier making it and playing it than I have been sitting around listening to it, or massive David in a festival. I still enjoy it and I listen to it, but I listen to classic metal and I listen to some bands like say Hellripper. Like I like Hellripper. But yeah, I'm a bit of a dad in that respect,
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm with you. It's like you've heard me probably talk on this in the past. Like my love is like I really got into alternative in the 90s, like especially punk rock. My brother listened to a lot of things like Black Flag and introduced me to that and shit, and then I was into all that. And then the grunge scene, I was all about that. Ugly Kid Joe, who are very proud to call like friends now, who's just like, year-old Pete would want to suck my dick.
I'm on their legends. Like I feel like I owe a lot to Ugly Kid Joe because me and Joe were such big fans of him. Joe's big brother Rory bought him America's Least Wanted on cassette as a joke because it said Ugly Kid Joe on it. Joe was about 10, and so he was already into them. He kind of liked heavy music when I met him. He was this little eccentric 11-year-old kid obsessed with pellet guns and horror movies and comics and stuff. So it was great, we were like made for each other. And Ugly Kid Joe were a big part of that. I've only seen them once. We went to see them in Dublin at the Academy about 15 years ago now. Me and Joe went, and they were amazing. And Whitfield Crane was so cool. Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Handsome man too.
Yeah, and he went out with Madonna for a while, so I think job done there.
Live the dream, man. Live the dream.
I lived the dream in the 90s,
Exactly. It was like also because I do my research.
Sure you do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I saw your first tour as Gama Bomb. You actually went out with an amazing punk rock band, the Dangerfields.
Oh. Well, the very first was Dangerfields and Karloff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was Dangerfields. Yeah. And we had planned to bring Dangerfields with us on this UK run now, but unfortunately it hasn't worked out. There's a bit of some health problems and stuff for Andrew. Mm-hmm. And there's some degree of fuckery with some kind of promotery thing as well, but unfortunately we can't bring them. But yeah, we went with them. When we started the band, there's a bit of history to this. There's a little fly right in the middle of my glasses, man. It's driving me mad. Or it's gone insane. So when we first started the band, thrash was history. It was gone. And like it was like being into ragtime music. It was like a genre of music that had a time and a place where it was a success. It had now died, and it was not commercially available. It was not culturally available, and it had no currency whatsoever.
Yeah.
And like you could go to record fairs or second-hand shops and maybe get stuff. Like our band started because the library did a sale, town library. You know, the way they used to sell off their old CDs and tapes.
Yeah.
And they'd be dead cheap. And Luke got Game Over and Survived by Nuclear Assault on cassette. And he got Once Upon the Cross by Deicide, and he got Among the Living by Anthrax. And I think that's kind of what A State of Euphoria. And those tapes were kind of what started us as thrash kids. So there was no thrash band to play with. The first thrash band we played with was in 2006. We'd been in the band 4 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it didn't exist. So we used to go up to Belfast, and Belfast was kind of where we cut our teeth. We would get the bus up or the train up, or someone's mum would drive us every weekend pretty much for years, and we would play in Belfast. But the only places to play was punk places, you know? And like in the aftermath of the Troubles, the city centre had a lot of dead space in it, a lot of dead buildings in it and stuff, where there was room to kind of have more creative endeavours in them, like anarcho places and stuff. So yeah, like during those years, we were playing with, like, in retrospect, now I realise who the bands were. We were playing with Poison Idea, we were playing with GBH, we were playing with Swell Bellies, Go Karts, Undead, you know.
But thrash works with that, you know, that whole sort of hardcore scene.
Yeah, like the fact, like it now already sounds like ancient history that I like played with GBH and Poison Idea and stuff. That's already impossible now, you know. So yeah, like I had no idea about any of that. I'd grown up listening to punk, but I knew nothing about hardcore. I knew nothing about cross punk. I didn't, you know.
Yeah.
I barely knew about American punk really. So that was a real baptism. And sorry, what was your question?
It was. Oh, it's because I mentioned the Dangerfields.
Yeah, Dangerfields. So like the punks in Belfast were really non-judgmental, and they were totally okay with us little middle-class lads coming up and playing this music that was nonsense, because we were upbeat and the shows were upbeat, and I would dress up and stuff, and we would like joke with the crowd, and we were cheeky and stuff. So, you know, they were very kind. And Dangerfields were one of the like Andrew Griswold from Dangerfields was kind of the first person who was really good to us, and he would book shows and be like, come on down and do it, you know, Christmas shows and all this kind of thing. And he was a great mover and shaker in the scene. And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to go and do a tour in Scotland with Karloff. Luke, our guitar player at the time, was living in Dundee, up on Constitution Hill in Dundee, and he was like, why don't we all come over and we'll do like a 5-gig tour? We were like, wow. So like we went over on the boat, and went over on the boat from Belfast, and then like got the train over to Dundee, and we were going public transport to go around like Edinburgh, Glasgow, Dundee, Aberdeen, I think it was, or whatever. Lost my voice, second gig, 13th note in Glasgow, couldn't sing it out.
It's scary. Scary when that happens.
So
I had that happen in Manchester once. It was just, I thought it was never going to come back. I shit myself. I could feel my vocal cords just collapse in on me. I was like, that's it. I'm done.
Well, sure, I had it so bad I had to have surgery, like, you know. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a nodule. I had a polyp on the vocal cords, like a proper injury that you need like a microsurgery for. It caught that. Like we have like 3 albums where I don't sing any high notes on them because it took me like 8 years to get my voice back. Yeah,
I was going to say that it like have to change the way you like try to sing everything.
Yeah, and it was kind of the physical thing and the psychological part. It destroyed my confidence as a singer.
Yeah.
Like even my speaking voice would have been like this, like for a couple of years. I talked like that, like it was proper injury. Like, and then I got surgery, and as you can hear, I'm really looking after my voice. I got surgery, and for a couple of years, then I was kind of waiting for it to come back, and it wouldn't come back. I sort of had like erectile dysfunction of the throat. I was like, I was just thinking about it too much, and it won't come back, you know. And then when I was living in London, we were going to go make the album Speed Between the Lines, and I just got absolutely sick of being stuck. We had made 2 albums where I couldn't sing any high notes, and even though I'd kind of gone to some singing lessons and got more confident, and I'd developed more the chest voice, the part of my voice.
Yeah.
So I was kind of getting it back. And then I went to this amazing woman called Idit Arad. She's an Israeli woman, and her job is she's a vocal coach for people from the West End who have hurt themselves. Right. And she's an opera singer. and she's still going. And anyone who wants to learn how to sing should fucking go and see Edith around in London.
She worked with like a lot of metal vocalists as well.
I don't know if she has. At that time, she had no awareness of heavy metal whatsoever. The only rock band she had ever really heard of was Queen. That was it.
Yeah.
And she was in her late 40s. She wasn't that old. And she's just a classical music person, you know, and maybe jazz. I think she absolutely loved jazz singing too. So I used to go to Edith and she used to like slap me and shit. She was like Yoda, you know, she'd come around you and be all like, "Pull your chin up, stick this out, what are you doing here?" You know, and I'm like,
chairs at you.
Yeah. And if you did it wrong, she'd like, you know, "No, do it again." And you'd be like, "Shit, okay." After a couple of months of that, I got sick of it. But no, I found almost spontaneously, but of course it wasn't spontaneous, that part of my voice came back. It was actually much stronger, and I kind of found a way to heal around it and work around it. So now my voice is, I would say it's better than it has been. Touch wood. It is very strong. It is very strong. Your top end is ridiculous. Yeah, and you know, I'm very happy to have it because I took it for granted for a lot of my life that I could go like this, and then for a couple of years I just couldn't. And it was, as you say, it was never going to come back, and it really, really wasn't going to come back. Yeah. It did. So that's great. You know. Hey! So nowadays, I try not to drink too much before a gig. I don't push it. I let the mic do its job. I let the monitors do their job. I'm really careful about, you know, talking to the sound guy and stuff. And I don't smoke, so hopefully that does it. Yeah, me too. We try to stick to a rule of like, we're allowed so many drinks before we go on, and so many shots because shots don't really count. You know? Shots don't carry, like pool. Yeah, no, we let ourselves have a few drinks. And look here, if it's flying, just picking my nose in a luxurious manner there. If it's a flying, we'll let ourselves have a few more drinks. And our other thing is, if we're on early, you can have, you know. Yeah. Back in the day, we used to play gigs totally rotten. Like you'd be blind drunk playing gigs. To large, you know. Stupid. No. It's all part of the fun, and then you learn. It is fun. You try and grow up, and it just doesn't happen. But nowadays we're having to like get the buzz off doing the gig. You know, it's like now I have to enjoy performing music. Oh, what is that? it's like non-alcoholic beer. But you touched on something before, which I was going to bring up with you anyway, and it's like you're saying those first gigs where you would play with people like Poison Ivy or GBH, how like you go out, you'd have fun, you'd dress up and stuff, and like what was like chefs and scientists and all sorts. It's like because a lot of bands, especially like in the metal scene, they take themselves very seriously. I'll say, you know, we wear black and this is it, rah, rah, rah. But I'd say with Gama Bomb, I think part of the thing that I love about you guys is the showmanship that's involved. Has that been right from day one? Just like, you know, it's a show. Showing off has always been part of it, yeah. And here's the way I look at it, right? Like singing and performing, it's very personal, no matter what you're doing. Even if you were just like being a clown or whatever, you're putting yourself up in front of people, right? You're being looked at by people who don't know you, and maybe people, even worse, people who know you, right? And you're exposing sort of a part of your personality. And when you're singing, you're like showing a sort of emotional range and stuff that you may not otherwise express in normal life. And I think what everyone does to some extent is have armor against that, right? Or a lot of people do anyway. And I think for lots of people, their tough guy thing or their artifice or whatever is the armor. I think with like a serious black metal band, in some respect, are hiding themselves by doing that, right? You know, they're protecting themselves a wee bit by being like, I am Blargnor, the fucking executioner or whatever. Because then you're not Gareth, right? Not Gary from Essex. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because then it's not you getting up there and bearing your soul and embarrassing yourself. It's Blargnor, the executioner. Like, whereas I think in my case, from the off, I was so embarrassed to do it. Really embarrassed, like really nervous, really embarrassed. The only way I could get past day one was to make the lads laugh and make myself laugh. You know, again, like it's a crap analogy, but again, it's like sex. If you're not laughing, something's wrong. You know.
Or it's only they're laughing.
Yeah. After, if she's not in gales of laughter after, you're doing something wrong. So yeah, like for me, it was definitely like, it was two things. One, it was how I was able to do it without being like compressing myself into a small cube of shame and embarrassment. And it was also like, I didn't find the music was that suitable a medium for very emotionally complex messages.
Yeah.
You know? It just wasn't a place for it. So yeah, so that's kind of where it came from. Make the lads laugh, making each other laugh kind of was a way to get past the embarrassment at the start of the band. But then in terms of like the show, our early gigs, yeah, I used to dress up quite a bit. I would, any fancy dress or any work uniform or anything that was lying around. To tell the truth, I think I did that because I had short hair.
Oh, really?
I think I did, and I think I needed to feel like I was more committed. I had like a little duck's arse hairdo, It was the noughties. I had a noughties hairdo. And before I grew my hair out, I was kind of, probably compensating a bit. But then, like, it's also true that I've worn silly clothes ever since. And I think part of your job, being a musician or a performer, especially like in front of people, is to sort of not be human.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
No, like, when I get up and I'm singing, I'm moving in a way and stuff that I don't move in normal life, that people don't move around in normal life. And, you're doing faces and stuff that you don't normally pull because you're doing it on purpose, and you're wearing clothes that you wouldn't normally wear. That's kind of the point. The point is to be different from normal, to be bigger and weirder than normal. So yeah, like it's always been part of the show. We're show offs. And I think you have to make it interesting. Also, like Mikey, as time's gone on, man, I've been in the band 21 years now. And I've got, it's very easy to get bored. It's very easy to get bored of how things look and all. I think a lot of metal bands, like there's kind of two flavors of metal band now. There's either metal band who look like they're from 1998 and are all wearing cyber goth gear, or there's like I have loads of twigs and branches and like stuff smeared on my face, and I'm dressed up as a minotaur and I have a big cape on over the top of me, like the ghost thing, but like it's not even ghost, but you've been driven through a car wash of jewelry or whatever, like so. And I find that mad because it just means everyone is the same. There's just so much sameness in it, and they look the same, and their t-shirts all look the same, and their tunes all sound the same, and I just can't have that. I get bored. So yeah, I suppose to some extent I'm always trying to think what I could wear or something to, even if it's a laugh at my expense, at least it gives people a laugh and maybe they'll remember.
I mean, you've also got now the sick microphone stand.
What's that?
Your microphone stand.
Yeah, I've got like I've got different kind of things. For the last album for Sea Savage, I had like an anchor. Yeah. Which one of the lads referred to as the wanker.
Hey.
And now I've got this wicked thing called Rod Stewart, which is like an LED stick with a mic mounted on top, and it's like a lightsaber, so you can like change colors and do lightsaber show.
Yeah.
So that's what, and obviously we'll have Snowy who comes along and does the shows with us and stuff. So
yeah, I was just gonna bring up Snowy next, actually. Like for people who may not know, and if you don't know, I don't know why not. Can you explain who Snowy is, or is it R.I.P. Snowy?
No, Snowy's live.
Is it okay?
Yeah, Snowy's our mascot. He's a Yeti who showed up at my house 5 years ago, and has kind of insisted on being here ever since. Well, keep it down, will you? That's him in there. Sorry. He doesn't
bring him in.
He doesn't like me talking about him. Please send help. What it was, I'm going to go up to the bar. I'm going to go up to the bar and ask for Jane or whatever to,
Yeah. It's Sandra. It's Sandra. Sandra, ask for Sandra.
Ask for Sandra. Sandra, please, Jesus. Snowy's our mascot. He's a Gama Abominable snowman, which is very good. And he comes with us on tour, and he alienates the audience for us. Is what he does.
Yeah.
Like what I love about Snowy is a mascot who doesn't work properly. I love that. And I love that everyone else's mascot has not enough personality and ours has too much.
Yeah.
Like Eddie, what can you really say about Eddie apart from the fact that he sneers?
Yeah. Walks around clumsily.
Yeah, he loves to lumber. He loves to lumber, that Eddie.
Yeah.
Almost as if his vision is very limited in some way. But yeah, so like Snowy's around, and just before our first single for the album came out there, I think you touched upon it. He died in a freak explosion accident because he was playing with explosives at the time. Just as we were about to have a funeral for him, he actually came back to life, and now he's a vampire. So I don't really know how that works, but if you watch the video for Speed Funeral, our recent single, you'll see all that. He's currently working on developing his own video game. Don't really know why he's doing that, but that'll be coming out now in a couple of weeks. It actually is.
Excellent. Yeah, I was watching the video earlier. You know the lighthouse video.
Oh yeah.
Where you're all lighthouse keepers and Snowy's there, like taking everyone down and everything.
Mugging us off, getting mugged off by a Yeti.
You know what I thought about that video is everyone in the band is a fucking stunning actor. I truly believe that every single you was an Irish lighthouse keeper.
I think Damo is a good actor. I think let's rephrase.
All of you.
The rest of us are good at doing faces.
I was fully invested. It was a tough wank, but I got through it and it was amazing. We've paused. No, you're moving again.
No.
But also, I want to come up and talk about your Gama Bomb, the subject matter of your songs.
Okay.
Because it seems a place where we kind of align quite well.
I think so. I think we do.
Because, you're talking about a lot of great 80s movies, the greatest time for cinema.
Sure.
Great 80s horror, sci-fi, video games. And there's that been from day dot.
Yeah, pretty much. It's where we're from. We're from the 80s, I'm 40 years old. And when we were kids, we were, even in the 90s, me and Joe were mad into 80s stuff. Which wasn't a thing in the mid-90s, everyone. In the mid-90s, the 80s were considered a horrendous time in the 90s. But we loved it, and we were listening to 80s music and watching 80s movies and stuff. So, yeah, it's always been a thing. I've got to be honest, man, it's so intrinsic to the band I don't even know how to explain it to you. It's just the stuff we're into. And then the fact that this genre, as I said, it was kind of like with starting a thrash band, it was like starting a disco band, or it was like starting a psychedelic band. It's a thing from an era. It's from a specific. It's like Dixie jazz. It's from a base on a time. So to be into that, we were obviously imbibing all that stuff and trying to act like that. So playing music that was from the 80s, it made sense to act 80s.
Yeah.
And also that dovetailed with the fact that we just loved all that shit. So yeah, Final Fight was a pretty early song, and yeah, we were writing songs about it from the off. It's funny, like I feel like we're not massively doing it as much now, but it's still a big part of the vibe of the band. This new album has Egyptian Lover, who's like a really old hip hop and electro legend on it. I don't want to give away the ending of the album, but it ends in an extremely Miami Vice kind of 80s way, We're still being 80s. We're just being 80s in our tonality, really,
So what's your favourite film from the 80s?
That's a really hard question.
Actually, that's a hard question. We'll do it in a different way. Favourite 80s horror?
Okay. Geez, I don't have to think about that. I don't have to really think about that.
We're going to go through a few different genres of
movies. So obviously standouts are things like A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm a big fan of Halloween 2, Season of the Witch. Or is it Halloween 3? Halloween 2?
Halloween 3.
Halloween 3. No, Halloween 2.
Yeah. The one without Michael Myers and the mask.
Yeah, Season of the Witch. I absolutely love Season of the Witch. I think probably, now that I've got my juices flowing here, I can tell you, it's probably The Fog, really. The Fog is probably my favourite horror movie of the 80s. I think it is like 82, isn't it? It's really early 80s.
It is, yeah. Yeah, because it's Jamie Lee Curtis again, John Carpenter. It's all like good times.
Yeah, it's great. And The Thing is also excellent. So like all the John Carpenter stuff in the 80s is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And like Elvis is amazing too. So yeah, like I think The Fog a standout. Day of the Dead had a really big impact on me as a teenager watching it. I absolutely loved it. It's very extreme, it's very Grand Guignol, and it's deliberately nasty, you know. But like, yeah, like as a kid, I saw Fright Night and it scared the life out of me, so that had a big impact on me. Dream Warriors, I love the cheese. Warriors
oh my! Was it? Oh God! Who did the soundtrack? The theme? Yes! Fucking hell!
Dream Warriors, don't want to
that film messed me up.
Yeah.
It was that scene. That scene.
Yeah, that's right. And the woman whose tongue can shoot out and tie you to your bed.
Yeah. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Yeah. What do you say? Let's get high. Yeah. So like I love Dream Warriors, and you know, like, so yeah, that's definitely some of my horror picks. And then like in terms of action, Commando is my favorite action movie.
Me too.
Well, we should talk about Commando. For the last 15 years, more than 15 years, for the last 18 years, about once a year, with some notable gaps, there have been some gaps, my friends and I have played the Commando drinking game, which is what I would call a competitive card-based alcohol consumption system. It's not just drink every time he says this, drink every time that happens.
Yeah.
That's the ground level of the game. The second level is you draw cards. You pause the movie every 10 minutes and draw cards. Each card has an instruction and a quote from the movie. You then play those cards against each other over the next 10 minutes. And like if someone laughs, that's the Piss on Soldiers card. You stop the play, they have to finish their entire drink. And it gets you totally lamped. And it's got to the point now, 18 years in, where last year at Christmas when we did it, it was called the Sully Summit, and everyone was dressed as Sully. And we made props.
Excellent.
And I got in touch with David Patrick Kelly, and he sent us a video on the night congratulating us on our costumes.
No way.
I sent him a video on Twitter. I got him on Twitter and sent him a DM. And I was like, here we are, we're all Sullys. And we were like, DPK, we love you, man. We love you. Woo, DPK. And he was in New York walking around in Central Park at night. And he sent me a video being like, excellent work, Sullys. And I was like, can't believe that, man. Like, you know.
That's so cool, man.
I'm mates with DPK. That's.
Yeah. I'm going to put approved.
Yeah, and we got a video message from Vernon Wells. We got a tweet from Red On Chong.
I was in love with her, like massive.
See how beautiful she still is. My God.
Yeah, she's amazing. And it's like I was also. I'm a massive Police Academy fan.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Massive. It's like once a year, I'll spend a week where every night when I go to bed, I start the first one, and each night I'll watch a different Police Academy film. The last two, it's a bit of a slog.
Yeah, Mission Moscow.
Yeah. Oh God, and the one before that.
Mission Miami Beach.
No, that's number 5.
City Under Siege.
That's the first without Mahoney. Number 6. Oh
City
God,
Under
I can't.
Siege.
It's City Under Siege. Yeah.
City Under Siege. Yeah. Because you've got Police Academy, Back in Action, Their First Assignment, Citizens on Patrol, City Under Siege, Mission Miami Beach.
Yeah, back in training. Yeah, but
back in training.
Yeah, for my birthday a few years ago, my brother got Jonesy to send me a message, and it was fantastic. He did sound effects.
Yeah, I saw him live one time.
Did you? Was he amazing?
Yeah, he was class. He just does loads of sound effects, you know. Michael, what do they call him? So yeah, like we're growing up, you know, we were very lucky. We had a decent few videos in the house. Like we had, you know, loads of all the Police Academy films, and we had the Star Wars trilogy, and you know,
I got something very cool to tell you, actually. We did an EP once, and every song was about a film because I didn't have shit to write about. So yeah, we had Bill and Ted, Breakfast Club. One of them, Gleam in the Cube.
Yeah, Gleam in the Cube. Yeah, it's got a skate movie.
And I sent Christian Slater the video. I said, "Hey, we've done this song about you," and he sent me just a little message back going, "I really appreciate this," and a heart.
Woo! Damn.
Me and Christian Slater.
We wrote a song about Willem Dafoe in the hopes that he would sue us and we would get to meet him. You know, that was the hope. but no feedback yet from Willem or his legal representative. So
Yet. It could still happen. But, yeah, but anyway, so you are going out on tour very soon.
Very soon. We're starting this. When does this go out? When does this go live?
Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sunday.
So yeah, we're on tour right now. The tour starts on October 20th, and it goes right through until the 28th when we're in Swansea. And then we will be going over to Ireland for the Siege of Limerick, which is an excellent metal festival here, our first time playing at the Siege of Limerick. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're going to hit London, Sheffield, Carlisle, Edinburgh, which is one of our favorite places to play. And it's going to be great. So please do check it out and come down. Like we're really out there to meet people. And also we're going to go visit spooky locations everywhere we go.
Excellent news, because we're getting very close to hitting that point in the podcast. But before we get there, why don't you tell people, apart from this tour, what is coming up in the Gama Bomb world at the moment?
Oh, it's our new album, which is called Bats. And Bats is out on November 10th on Prosthetic Records. Yep, Bats, the spooky animal. The spooky animals that are not rodents. And
mammal.
They are mammals.
Yeah, and the only mammal, what is it? What's the word I can't think of?
Oh, nothing.
New Zealand, the only mammal actually from New Zealand. Everything else got imported there.
Hold on. Bats are the only animal that's native to New Zealand.
The only mammal.
Oh, really? Wow. No. Bats were the only mammal native to New Zealand. That's incredible.
Yeah. Crazy, right? I only learned that the other week.
Yeah.
Maybe my brother lied to me, but no, he wouldn't do that. But yeah.
It's a very remote island. So yeah, that's our new album. It's called Bats. We produced it and mixed and mastered it ourselves. It's the first time we've made an album from soup to nuts ourselves. And we're really proud of it. It's, it's very much the thrash that people would expect, but it also has a much broader kind of palette of songwriting on it too. It has some, have you heard any of it? Did the guys send you? Have you heard the album?
No, as of yet, no.
Sorry, Mikey, I'll send you a link after this. It's very broad. There's a tune on it that sounds like a cult. There's, some Judas Priesty type stuff, but then there's also some super evil, speed metal-y, occult tunes, and the album ends in this absurd outro, which is...
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything about it. Just going to say Miami Vice. That's all I'm going to say. That's,
Excellent.
So it's a big album. I think it's our weirdest album. That's what I've been saying about it. The songwriting came from a very good place. We wrote 30 demos for the album. So we wrote we wrote loads of really good stuff. And then we made the choices just based on what was best musically. It was made with no ego whatsoever. The album, we were absolutely abundant with ideas, and then we were all really chill about which ones we used. And we took a long time to produce it. We had the drums and everything done, and then we got a bit stuck. I got a house. I'd never had a house before, so I had to go and do up an entire house. So that took ages. And I did it myself. So I had to go and spend a couple of months doing up a gaff, and that kind of slowed us down. But we're really proud of it. We feel like we're in an amazing place with the band now. Paul, our longtime drummer, left just before Sea Savage. And I feel like the last album went really well. We're enjoying touring and gigging. We're having fun. We all get along really well as mates. It's got a good place in our lives. It doesn't dictate our lives too much. But it's also still a really good way to express yourselves and have fun. And you know what, man? It's all really down to our fans, which sounds like an egotistical thing to say, but we're not a massive band, but we have this amazing bunch of fans who really get it. Like when we posted, oh, sorry, unfortunately our mascot has died, everyone in the comments immediately knew how to act.
Yeah.
no one was like, what's this? What? No, he didn't. He's a mascot. People were like, yeah, he owes me 200 quid. That's what everyone was saying. Like,
yeah.
We have pretty amazing fans. They've done big things for us, and that's why we're here doing it. It gives us the best hobby in the world and the most fun.
Well, I mean, what do you say about your fan base? I mean, I first booked you in 2009?
Yeah.
Was it? And then I booked you, it was last year, you came last time. And what a great night.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Fucking great turnout. Lots of great people there. Everyone was just having a really good old time.
I'd love to come back. You know what we should do sometime? We should actually fly over and just play the parish.
I agree.
Yeah, we should totally do that. We don't need.
I've just said mine and listen about me. Stay at my house.
Yeah,
I'll stay at mine.
It's fine. Yeah, so like the last time we played the parish was our.
There was a cake.
There was a lovely cake. It was our 20th birthday as a band, and I tell you what, man, you might not know this, Mikey, but we drank 80 cans of Red Stripe.
I do, because I cleaned the dressing room the day after.
I tell you, man. So Benny and Joel from Evil were there, and a couple other heads. And between us, I think we drank 2 bottles of whiskey. You kept coming in. That's the problem. Like, we're in the big dressing room. There was a Red Stripe in the fridge. There was like a tray, like a full tray of Red Stripe in the fridge. We're all drinking it, and then you keep coming in, being like, "There's another tray of Red Stripe," and we're like, "Oh no, don't stop coming in!" But then you just kept coming. So we were in there till about 2, 3.
Yeah, it was late.
And when the last
just a quick thing about this before we go any further. Tommy, if the owner of the parish is watching right now, it was all part of Ryder. It was all taken care of.
It was.
It's cool.
Yeah, we basically didn't take a fee.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was awesome. It's a great place to play, and we loved it. And then Mikey, I was like, as soon as the show was over, I was like, I need you to take me on a spooky tour of the venue here. Like, that's
we did do a spooky tour.
It's kind of spooky. There's some spooky bits in there, like,
Spooky. Shall we hit the spooky part?
Let's do it. Let's do the spooky part.
Yeah, that's part 2.
I feel like you should play theme music. Do you have spooky theme music that we can play?
Callum, sing some spooky theme music. It's time for a part about ghosts.
I'll just edit this part in.
Yeah, you edit that part in. That'll be wicked.
I'm just doing a theremin.
Oh yeah. Well, we've got a new. Callum's just done a new theme tune, which has got theremin in.
Nice.
So, question number 1. Philly, of Gama Bomb fame, do you believe in ghosts?
I can't remember who it was who said it. I think it was I think it was H.P. Lovecraft or someone. He said, "I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm afraid of them." That's what he said. I don't believe in them, but I will say this: as I've gotten older, I have come to realize that there are definitely limits and problems with our perception. And that's real, right? That's real. And you can prove that to yourself by getting a bad knock on the head, by getting an eye injury, by taking mushrooms, by getting drunk. Those are all, by all those things, by getting into a fight, all those things alter your perception of the world around you. They change the information that's going into your brain, right? And I do know that there's some very unusual things. For example, like UAPs, that's real. Like whatever that is, that's real. And it means that we don't know how physics works, right? That 100% means we don't know what the laws of physics are or how they work, right? So if that's real, it's possible other things that appear to us to be inexplicable or impossible could be real, right? So there's always a possibility to keep that open. However, in my experience of life, I don't believe that the metaphysical world or the spiritual world is real. I think it's real to people who perceive it as such. I know people who would claim to see loads and loads of ghosts, basically jumping out of them constantly, like, shamanic healers and mediums and all this. And I would never gainsay their experience, but I do find that there's sort of corroborating factors with nearly all these stories. Nearly everybody has a bit of a tell when they tell one of these stories, but you kind of go, don't massively buy that. 1 or 2 weird things have happened to me in my life, but I'm someone who goes out of the way to go and find ghosts, and I don't believe they're real. I really don't. But I absolutely love stories about them.
I'd say you're massively wrong.
All right, thanks for having me on, Mikey. And next week on this,
go on touring, fuck 'em.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to explain, but like, I'm a massive fan of ghost stories. I'm a massive fan of like the history of ghost stories, all the really famous writers who have written them. I own a whole library of books about this kind of thing. I love real ghost stories, real people's ghost stories. As I said earlier, I listen to radio shows where people ring in and tell the ghost stories. But one of the things that I find really interesting about them is there's always a little bit of folklore element in it. And after a while of listening to people's ghost stories, you can always spot the same little features, like a fairy tale. It has the same features.
Mhm.
Where there's one thing will show up where you're like, it sounds like now you're saying something that's not real. Or there's a reason why you sound like you might make this up. And I actually quite enjoy that, because after a while it's like, oh, I've heard some stories, like, I'm from Ireland, man, right? So I'm from Northern Ireland, County Down, and you grow up surrounded, sort of permeated by supernatural stuff.
I guess.
Yeah, and by other stuff. See, you guys don't have to worry about fairies. That's the difference. But like where I grew up, like, you talk to Irish people, it's not that you believe in fairies. You don't fuck with them.
Well, yeah, it's like, have you seen, like, is it in Iceland, like over 70% of the country do believe
in fairies.
In fairies, like, there's like tiny churches built everywhere, and they have people whose actual job is, like, if a building site goes up, there's an actual person whose their job is to go in and go and test the ground and sort of like send a thing out so the fairies know that you're going to be building there and shit like that.
Yeah. Nice. I think there's something very nice. You know, part of the irrationality of culture is what makes life nice. And, you know, sometimes it can have quite a pernicious expression, like, say, like religion, where you judge people and all that, damn people for things. But, like, I think in, like, folklore and stuff, it's actually really nice. So where I grew up in Newry, it's a wash with that stuff. If there was a fairy tree, a fairy fort in the field opposite my ma's house, and you could go in and run through it, kind of thing. But quite often it's very difficult to build an area that has one of those, because you do not touch them, you don't tear them down, you definitely do not demolish them and dig them up. Like, that's considered to be an absolutely anathema thing to do. You're cursed if you do that. Now,
and people don't do it. People say they don't believe in it, but won't do it just in case.
But this is it. That's exactly it. So you don't believe in them, but you don't fuck with them. And you know, in Newry, where I came from, there's a big shopping centre there called the Butter Crane, and right beside it is this housing estate that was built in the early 80s. And when I was in primary school, the teacher told us, he was like, oh, there was a big argument a couple of years ago in this town when they were building the Butter Crane and building that housing estate there. He was like, the area had been bought by the developer, but in the middle of it was a fairy fort, and none of the builders would touch it. And there was a huge debate in the town over what should be done. It was getting to the point where he might not be able to build. And then one night, nobody knows who, somebody went down and tore out the fairy fort, and that was the end of it. Somebody took a digger and dug it out.
And then the next day, a man's head was found. Eyeballs eaten out.
On the digger.
Nobody knows what happens.
His ass cheeks were found in the digger, and that was it. Nothing else. Just the ass cheeks. They could only identify him by the small tattoo of Mark Owen's face on the left cheek.
I read about that in the news.
Yeah, so like that kind of, it's very nebulous to say, "Ooh, don't believe in ghosts," because where I come from is a place which is all about that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, it's like on a lot of episodes, I'm going to find a picture. Have you got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Sweet. In quite a lot of episodes, I've talked about ghosts, and this one photo from a friend of mine, Brad in Florida, who was he's what we call one of you. He was a non-believer, but now he does believe. He's going to be a guest actually on this season to talk about this photo. And he's also got another.
I'm just going to say, before you send this to me, if this is one of those things where you open it and it goes, I'm going to kill you.
It's just my dick with a tiny sheet on it. No, but
the afterlife is a harsh place.
He would always say like how he used to be a non-believer, and we were out. He took me around the bars of Florida. We were drinking. We got onto the talk of ghosts because people love ghosts. He's like, yeah, I was a non-believer till he was on tour in an old hotel on a video chat with his missus, like, you're in the hotel, scary, scary, scary. And she was like, stop. And she paused the screen at a certain point and then sent him his picture. So he left.
Whoa. Wow. Shit the bed.
We've still not shown the listeners and watchers on this show this picture yet, but we are going to eventually when Brad's on it.
Well, it shows. It's. Do you want me to talk about the picture? I mean, it's kind of.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Well, there's a bit of a bloody character in the foreground, and he's going ha ha into his phone, and then into the camera, and then behind him in the sort of pixelated dark of the hallway down the far end of this sort of beige hotel corridor is an outline which looks like, I suppose you could say it's a dark outline of a person, maybe a woman, because they're wearing a bell-shaped garment of some kind. That's interesting. Here's the thing though, quite a few ghost photos are like, they're that pareidolia thing where we're looking for a shape. We know a shape. Here's the thing, like, we evolved. I don't mean to come into a podcast, it's cynic. I promise I've got lots of weird shit to tell you. But like, we evolved for millions of years to look out for fucking eyes and shapes and things poking out at us, because that's how you catch the saber-toothed tiger or whatever you know. If you're not on watch for like a big bug or a snake or a tiger or a wolf or whatever, you're dead. Yeah. So like, we go looking for faces and we go looking for shapes. Also, for the vast majority of human history, other people have been really bad news. When other people show up, it's been really bad news. So we're constantly looking for faces, shapes, heads, arms, legs, bodies. You know, we're very attuned to that. We're the people who survived because all the people who didn't got killed. So like,
this is why dogs turn around 3 times before they lie down.
Exactly. Yeah. Is that why they do that?
Yeah. I think it's looking for snakes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I always thought they all had OCD.
No. I thought that, and then Bear told me. That's my dog.
Class. I thought you said. That photo was actually pretty scary, man. And a mate of mine here in Dublin, my mate Dave, hello Dave, his missus works in the tattoo parlour, really cool tattoo parlour in town. And he was in, she was doing a tattoo, he's covered in tats, obviously. And she was in doing a piece on his arm. And he was watching the football on his phone while she's doing it after hours. And he was saying, it has a rep for being real spooky. And he showed me this security camera footage of him sitting with the arm out, and she's working away. Place is really quiet. And about 5 feet away from him on like an ottoman, a little footstool, is his big gym water bottle thing. And it just goes, like, it's there. The shot is like 2 or 3 minutes long. It's just sitting there. And then it goes pop onto the floor and it rolls in a semicircle over to him. It's really weird. And he was just like, don't know. But here's the thing. Things like that can happen. And they can happen for reasons that nobody fucking understands. But I don't believe that that's a dead person. Even if that kind of thing is possible, I don't believe a dead person can hang around in that way.
I mean, you say, but you're wrong. But,
I'm just enjoying winding you up now. There's a ghost here with me, actually.
Yeah. Have you played the Think Tank in Newcastle?
No, we're playing Brickyard.
The Clooney. You play the Clooney?
No. Are they hinted venues?
Well, we played Newcastle the other week, and Steve Jones, good friend of mine, was a guest on this, and he said No, he's much cooler than him. He sounds like this, Steve Jones.
Yeah, can he?
He's always told me about the think tank and like the ghosts there and shit like that. And he sent me some CCTV footage, which was very, very cool, of like a guy just in the office and this full toolbox on his shelf. And when I was there last week, he showed me the shelf. And, I tried to debunk, impossible. And like, this guy is just like working on a desk with this toolbox. He's just there, he just goes, boom. And this guy pops up and shit. But anyway, he's told me lots of great stories. There was one day there or whatever, he came out of the side door walking down the stairs there, and there was some people two guys walking up the stairs, and he was like, oops, sorry, got out of the way. They walked past. On the CCTV footage, it's just him. There's no fucker there. But I've wanted to get back up there for a while. So when I was there the other week, he took me on a little trip around, showed me all the maze that this venue is, where somebody had died at one point and blah, blah, blah. And then I started talking to the bar staff there. Every single one of them has a freaky fucking story.
Love it.
this young lad was saying about sadly where the dressing room is, where we all just sit, where a lot of shit happens. Said he was in there once and doing some bits, and the blue roll, not on its side so it can roll, just went all the way across the bar.
Wow.
Onto the floor and there. Yeah, a girl was there, like an orange foam floor was like rolling across the floor. Wow. They were in there painting, and there's this like little curtain, and they all spotted like a figure stood in there and shit. It's a creepy place, man. You know.
Yeah. No shit. The bedroom.
And what do we know about Newcastle that's in books? The fact that nobody in Newcastle has ever told a lie. So therefore, it goes down as fact.
Yeah.
So now you believe in ghosts.
Yeah, well, it's kind of scary as fuck. Yeah, they wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't lie to us, the good people of Newcastle.
Exactly. But it's like since I started doing this podcast, the amount of people I just meet who want to talk about their ghost experiences. Why do you think that people have such a love of ghosts and all things paranormal?
Yeah, they do. Everybody loves it. I think Irish people in particular. Irish people in particular kind of grow off of that, as we would say, grow off of that kind of thing. You know, I grew up hearing all these stories about the banshee and stuff, and I used to be really afraid that I would see a banshee. And everybody has the story, you know, oh, my granny saw the banshee, or, you know, all this kind of thing. Like, what was I going to say? The only thing that ever happened to me, well, like a few things have happened in my life where I'm like, what was that about? But like nothing where we go, oh, that's a ghosty story. It's just kind of like, oh, how did that get there? Or, you know.
I want to hear.
Brain fart. One time when I was about 10
years old.
when I was a 10. No, when I was at 10. Back when I was a 10, back before the drink got me. My oldest brother and my mum wanted to open an Indian, right? Not an Indian person. They wanted to open an Indian restaurant, which would have been a scary story. And so there were, in our town in the late 80s, there was no, 1 second here. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me for one moment.
No worries.
And we went looking around for, like, in our town, there was no Indian restaurant. There'd never been anything like that. Like, it was like, you know, a big town in Ireland at the tail end of the Troubles. There was nothing like that. So we started going around looking for locations for it. And I went with him because there was nothing to do. I remember the afternoon, it was a lovely sunny afternoon. And we went to this building on what's called Monaghan Street in Newry. And it was the end of a very large terrace of big shop buildings, big tall buildings, like almost like warehouse size, like a Victorian warehouse, big tall townhouses. There probably were townhouses at one point, and all of them were shop fronts. The very end one had been, I think, a hardware shop or a takeaway. Maybe it had been a takeaway. The estate agent gave us the key to let ourselves in. He drove us over there, just me and him and his girlfriend at the time. So we went in, and the windows all had grills all over them, and there was 2 big windows on a door, and we opened up the door and went in. The front was like a room that was obviously the stand-about waiting in it room, and I remember it had pretty much nothing in it. And there was one door centered in the wall opposite us into the back. So we were in that room, we walked into the back. The back was a lower ceilinged room that ran quite deep, maybe like 20 feet or more in. It's quite a long, low ceilinged room, and it had a lot of rubbish in it. Now, because this house or this building was the end of this big terrace, down the side of it was a big gated off entryway leading down to like these garages and a warehouse and all this kind of stuff. So there was like a little door out to the right out of that room to take you out into that entryway, but it was bricked in. Like when you got out into it, it was really weird. There was walls on 3 sides of you when you came out of that door. So there was, you're really standing in the square, you know, and then you could kind of see up over into the laneway, but you couldn't get out. It was like stuff on top to stop people climbing in. So we're in this room. There's loads of old paint cans and stuff on shelves. And there's a little small hand wash basin. And I remember walking over, being a kid, as you do, screwing around. I turned on the tap. And nothing. Like, you know, the sink was, I actually remember the sink visually was like filthy, covered in paint, dry as a bone. No water had been there in years. And then but they were standing talking, and I was kind of standing looking at them and pottering around the room. And I was looking out the door out into the front room that we'd just been in, and they were standing looking into the room with, they were in the room looking in.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically seeing the sun slanting through the cages in that front room and just looking at how still that room was while I was looking at the door. That door, which opens into that front room away from us, it slammed shut as hard as you can possibly imagine a door being slammed. It fucking whammed. It could have, a poorer door would have smashed. It slammed so hard. Like from all the way open. Whack. And the door was totally closed. Then our Eddie goes over to it, tries to turn the handle, won't open. And at this point, like, I'm kind of just going along on a, of course, like the door closed, no, it won't open, So he's a bit like, it'll be all right, it's okay, it's all right, don't worry. And there was no wind or anything. This just happened. So I start sort of going, okay, well, let's look around, blah, blah. And he was like, right, go out that. I went out to the side door to the side bit. And he was like, can you step up? I got up on like a kind of a windowsill thing out there. And I tried to get on. I was like, no, I can't get over this. It's too high. Also, I'm 10. What am I going to do? We're like, right, okay. And she was like getting worked up. And she was kind of like, I have to go home. I really have to go home. And he was like, it's okay. Yeah, we'll get out in a minute. And she was like, no, I really, really need to go home. And he was like, right. And he found like a pole. I don't know what it was, like a metal broomstick or something. And he started actually like taking off the door handle, properly, taking the handle off it. It wasn't a big lock or anything, like a standard house, lever door handle. And he started busting it off so he could get the metal thing inside it. And when we were standing there and she was looking at it, we were all looking at it. We heard it was like, and then the tap went, and like water, like dirty water gushed out of the tap, whatever tank had finally released, like, and it almost felt, and she just went, she lost us at that. She was like, I need to get out of here. And he was like, okay. And then all I remember is that he pretty much got that open, and that was it, really. But that's the weirdest thing that ever happened in that kind of way. Like a door totally slammed shut, and then a tap that obviously was drawn off a water tank that had never been touched in years decided to turn on. But it's kind of weird, isn't it?
I mean, I can see you trying to debunk it mentally, but I can see your eyes. You know.
I've gone cross-eyed with the terror. Yeah, it's really weird.
There was no wind. You see?
Yeah, there was no window. It was really weird. The door slamming, I can't account for it. I don't know. I suppose it's possible a breeze could have come from somewhere. But man, the way it slammed, it was like a person slamming a door. Is the only way I can describe it. Like as if someone had taken the door, held it in their hand, and as hard as they could gone like that with it. Like, and they were in it. But so that was that. And then, like, my mum works. She was a nurse, and she worked in Daisy Hill Hospital for most of her career. She was a nurse all the way through the Troubles and saw absolutely terrible stuff. But Daisy Hill Hospital was originally a workhouse during the famine, and like many workhouses, then went on to be a hospital. The oldest part of the hospital, she worked in a ward back in the 70s or 60s, late 60s, early 70s. And she was working the night shift, and my mum's a real Catholic. And she was going through the ward, and a wee man in one of the beds said, who was your man walked through here? And I said, what? And she said, there was a man. Now, the nurses would say to each other, oh, it's haunted. They're all women in there. 25 to 30, gagging each other. Like, your man was like, yeah, a man like in a dark coat just walked through here. Like a big man just walked through. And this is like in 10 at night or whatever. And my mom was like, oh, okay, where'd you go? And she was like, he went out onto the lantern there, because we're on the first floor in this big ward. And she went out onto the lantern and her mate was just coming up the stairs, and she was like, did a man come out here and go down the stairs? And her mate was like, no. And she was like, guy in here said a big man in a dark coat just went down the stairs. And your mum was like, oh, is that the ghost? And my mom was like, don't talk rubbish. But, and she then did the most Catholic thing possible. She went and got holy water and sprinkled it down the stairs.
Good girl. Good girl.
Yeah. So there you go.
I mean, my mum also an Irish nurse, and she's always told me some great ghost stories from when she worked at places. But it's like a lot of nurses I've talked to And people who work in hospitals always have really good stories.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Jamie, friend of yours, Carl, he's like you, one of these non-believers. But he works in the hospital now, and he was saying like how he keeps seeing this guy in the hospital, and he says hi to him, and then he'll be 3 floors up. A few minutes later, and this old man will walk past him again. He's like,
Whoa.
"Who is this old fucker?" You know, Danny. But you know,
when my sister's also a nurse, and when she was doing her training in Daisy Hill, you know, the morgue is real scary. It's down under the hospital, and like the people in the hospital always go on about how scary it is. And she was sent down there, and she had like I don't know what, she didn't have a body with her. She had like I don't know, there was like a woman on a trolley down there or something outside the morgue. And when Jennifer was like, "Can I come in?" there was something like your mom was like, "Wait a wee minute." And she was standing outside in the corridor in like the semi-dark, and she heard, "Help me." And she went, "Ah!" And it was a wee woman who had just woken up on this. I think she wasn't on her way to the morgue. She was on her way somewhere else or whatever. And she had woken up.
In the morgue?
No, outside the morgue. Which must have been a cheering moment. So
yeah,
have you, Mikey, have you ever seen a ghost?
I've had things where I feel I have seen things, and I've just sold my old house, which I'm going to go on record, was fucking hard.
Okay.
We called him Jeff because, you know, you try to humanize these things, but that was scary. I mean, my ex-partner's dad, he was a non-believer. He came around once, and we used to say, he used to lock people in the toilet. And he was like, "Yeah, he's a man's man. God damn it!" And he went up to the toilet, and he'd been up there a while. Came down, drip white, just drip white, and doing, "You all right, Wayne?" It's like, someone just locked me in the toilet. You know, it's like a thing where he was in the toilet, it locked behind him and stuff like that. And same sort of thing, you can't open the door. And a lot of things that happened in that house, like one morning I came down and all the hobs were on full. You know, and with people, there was like times where I'd be in bed just in the house by myself, and there'd be massive bangings on the doors in the house and stuff like that.
Oh, internal doors? Internal doors?
Yeah. Like front doors, internal doors, things slamming, people walking around, footsteps. It's just a scary fucking house.
That's pretty
God damn it, Jeffrey.
Get out of that. Get out of that one.
Oh yeah, it's gone now. It was like an ex-council house sort of thing. So it's, you know, it had a feeling. It was always like you'd just hear shit all the time that you just couldn't explain. Like there's no way that could happen. And I think one scary one was one when there was a banging on the front door, like do. It's like, oh god. So looking out to see who's knocking at the door so loud. And this was like 6 a.m. Nobody there, but then you just saw the front gate slam shut.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty spooky. But yeah, there's been things over the years. When I was a kid, we lived next door to Ruby Riddle and her husband. And they really liked me. They were old as time itself, and I used to go around and hang out with the old people. They never touched me or anything. They were good people. But they'd come around all the time. And then he died, he claimed, before he died, he had a huge heart attack after someone spooked him like a giant crow or something, and he had a big heart attack. Not long after he passed away, and Ruby Riddle gave me a little music box that he used to have, a little gramophone. I remember having that in my bedroom, and on a night time, that just starting to play on a night. Green Sleeves. I took it apart. I remember taking it all apart and having it in bits, and then it started to play again on a night time. Yeah, shit like that.
It wasn't supernatural, but like a really strange thing that happened one time when my granny went into the hospice. She was in hospital having an operation on her stomach, which was I think it was cancer, and then she went into the hospital, that kind of thing. But she was an old lady, and in the hospital, in the bed next to her on the ward was this lovely woman, very old, thin as a stick, you know, and the color of a candle. And she gave me and my cousin David like cups of I think it was 7-Up or Lucozade, but she had like little paper cups and she would give us, and she didn't have much to say, but she was a lovely, smiley wee woman, like a wee bird in the bed. And anyway, then my granny went on to the hospice. Didn't see that woman again. And we were there for a couple of weeks. And the big corridor that my granny's room was on, you could go down like steps in the corridor. Like the corridor went down a hill, kind of. And we would go down to the bottom. There was a budgie down there that my older brother and his older brother had taught to say fuck. So you would go down there, get the budgie to say fuck, which was funny. I'd say fuck off, Joey, the budgie would. And those steps right down at the end of the corridor went down into the chapel, and we would never go down into it because the chapel was all kind of gloomy, and it's a chapel in a hospice. It's kind of gloomy.
Yeah.
And one time we were down there getting Joey to say fuck, and me and my cousin David went down the steps, and it's really quiet, as quiet as a chapel down there, and we actually pushed open the door into the chapel, and when we pushed it open, all the lights were on in it, and there was nobody there, and at the far end of the room on a trestle was a coffin. And the lid of the coffin was propped against the foot of the coffin. And in a strange way, I often think it must have been one of the first adult emotional experiences that I had. Because we kind of looked at each other and we didn't say anything. And then we walked into the room. Like, we didn't say anything, we just walked in. And we walked up towards the coffin. And when we drew level with it, we realized it was the woman from the hospital. And we started screaming. We ran screaming out of the place, up the stairs, running all the way back. And I don't know what it was about it. It was, meeting death, I suppose, even though our granddad already died and stuff. Well, there's my mate Hilly Campbell, who you should totally have on, wrote a book about, what was it called? All the Living and the Dead, about her exploration of the death industry. And she spoke to a really famous coroner who said, the first corpse you see shouldn't be someone you love. About being exposed to and not having it all so tangled up in grief that you should understand the depths and things. And yeah, like I think the first time I really, really registered a corpse was that one, So there's something eerie about it. The fact that we just came in and this room was empty. She'd probably only been left half an hour or something until the little service started or whatever, We happened to just walk in and had this big education.
Yeah, that marked your soul for life.
Really did, man.
I did hear a pretty spooky story earlier today, actually. Also set in a hospital, and it was like an end of life ward. Everybody in there, they're not going to come out of there. And in one bed was a lady who was totally just talking like I am to you now and stuff. But in one of the other beds was a man. He'd been in there a while. He's out of it. He's not said anything in weeks. It's just he is coming to the end of his time and stuff like that. But she took a turn for the worse. And as she took a turn for the worse, and doctors and nurses are going, right, it's time to get everything ready and contact the family. Everything's drawn on. The man in this other bed awoke and just started singing. Singing about, moving on and stuff like that. And they're over there talking to him, and he wasn't trying to talk to him. He wasn't looking at them, wasn't saying anything. He was just eyes wide, just singing away and everything.
Wow.
And then the second this old lady died and passed over, he just stopped, went back to how he was before, eyes shut, just totally.
That's strange.
And that creeped the fuck out of me a little bit.
Yeah, there's a funny thing, like birth, it's the business end of life, man, it's the business end.
Yeah.
And we're all preoccupied by it, and especially people who enjoy heavy metal music. And
yeah. Oh, yeah, we're all obsessed. All obsessed.
But yeah, like I love spooky stuff. I love spooky movies, spooky books, and
I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos of spooky videos.
Yes,
not on the night time because I'm not an idiot. Night times I watch breakdowns of 80s terrible movies.
Yeah, going up the stairs sideways, pissing while facing the door.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure when I get into bed that my dog's there with me.
Having a shower with your eyes open the entire time.
Yes, exactly. Because I'm
I
not
find
an
the shower
idiot.
is the spookiest. But I find the shower the spookiest.
Do you?
Yeah, because they keep to close your eyes and you're exposed. There's a bit of animal. There's a bit of animal logic to it as well. You're in the nip. You're like, you know.
Nothing to do with gigs or ghosts, but to do with showers. Can I give you?
Gigs and ghosts and showers.
Can I give you a tip about next time you have a shower?
Sure.
Eat an orange.
Eat an orange in the shower.
Yeah,
What is the advantage?
you'll thank me. I've looked. Somebody told me this once. I was like, "What the fuck are you on about?" Then I did it, and oh my god, there's nothing quite like it. It's better than a beer shower. It does something. It does something. It just opens everything up, and you just feel fantastic.
What? So if you're in the shower, like, and what, like, hold the orange under the water?
Just eat it. Just be like, maybe have it out of the shower.
Yeah.
But every so often, while the water's gushing over you, start eating that orange.
Oh my God, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Because I've always been a fan of having a beer in the shower, obviously. That's fantastic. Orange in the shower. All right.
Trust. And when you do it, message me and tell me. You'll be like, not why you.
Film yourself doing it.
Film yourself, yeah. Oh, lots of soap on you at the time. Yeah. I want it like, like when you see those tattoo reveals, I want to see the suns disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the juices. But no, honestly, try eating an orange in the shower.
I'm good. And next time I'm on here, I'm going to harangue you about its benefits or otherwise.
It will change your life. You won't be able to shower without an orange yet. Yeah.
Well, on tour, I'll just be bringing a bag of easy peelers with me into the shower. And then if someone walks in, you can beat them with the bag. So
I think it is a reason why all bands have like fruit on their rider, hoping there's an orange there and a shower. Because
what are we spooked out? Have we spooked ourselves out?
But I do have one question I like to ask all the guests.
Okay.
Let's say ghosts are real.
Okay.
You're a married man, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Pretend that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Would you fuck a ghost?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a mate who says that they have done it.
You know Kesha.
No, Kirsty.
Okay. Is anyone with a name starting with K?
Yeah.
Well, I need to know. What?
They said that, I can't remember quite what the detail was, whether it was every time they stayed in an old bedroom or whether it was every time they got stoned or something. They felt like a sort of a sleep paralysis, but it was like sexy and they actually enjoyed it and were like, yeah, I hope that happens again kind of thing. And it happened a few times. I think it was being stoned triggered it. And they felt like they actually felt like a business.
Guess he's got a foot, but he was a ghost.
Yeah, yeah. Don't want to name which curse. There are many curses out there. I don't want to embarrass anyone by saying that name.
Good for you. Good for you.
No, you go, girl. But yeah, I would absolutely. Do you get to choose which ghost, or is it like Mandela?
No. I mean, it could be like a shining. It could be like old lady ghost who looks sexy and suddenly is rotten lady ghost again. Spending the two girls.
Yeah, I mean, I still.
Yeah, it is. It is better than the twin girls. That's a whole different podcast.
I just thought it would be like Mandela.
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, lived in the shades, and you'd be like, Nelson Mandela, what are you doing here? I won't do the voice. I won't do it.
I can do the voice too.
But here's the thing: you can't.
No, I can't. But I do it really well.
Yes, I know, and I'm also very good at it. But those times are behind us now, Mike. The time for doing a Mandela voice, that's in the past. That belongs in the noughties when Russell Brand was king. People didn't do any of that.
Not king of hell. Well, we've learned tonight a lot about your musical history, a lot about Gama Bomb, how ghosts are real, that you would fuck a ghost.
Which
I know we can do a very good Nelson Mandela impression. I do a good Landon as well.
I'll tell you what I can do. I won't do Nelson Mandela, but I will do my Christopher Walken impression, right?
Oh, please.
And I do a one-word Christopher Walken impression. You ready?
I am.
One word Christopher Walken impression. Here we go. Hello. There you go.
That's very good.
Hello. There you go.
I've been trying for years. It almost went a bit Nelson Mandela there, to be honest.
Hello.
Oh my God!
That's it. The show's cancelled. Sax it all over again. All right.
But Philly, thank you for joining me for the first episode of season 3 of Gigs and Ghosts.
It has been a spooky and supernatural honor, Mikey. Thank you so much.
It really has. To have you on, man. Enjoy the tour. I'm going to hope to come and see you at a show on this tour.
Man, give us a shout, man. We're somewhere near you. Come on up and say us.
Are you doing Manchester?
Yep, we are indeed.
Yeah, Rebellion.
Yep. We're not Rebellion. What is it? Not Anarchy Brunco, is it? No. Deaf Institute.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
Swan's doing well. That's a nice venue, that.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
But I will get.
We were doing well when we booked it, put it that way. So hopefully we are.
But yeah, thank you again, man. And look forward to hearing a new album. And at this point, we'll see for the next episode. Go get Gama Bomb's new album when it's out. On what date?
November 10th, Prosthetic Records. The album's called Bats.
And go see him on this tour. And now, hit the theme tune.